We wanted to try and incorporate technologies where we could be more easily accessible to our clients to get quotes or request quotes at any hour of the day. So our kind of philosophy using technologies and softwares that are on the market.
You're listening to Stories from the Top, an inside guide to better business development. We are here with Kirk Brown, the founder and president of Kirk's Lawn Care and Dynamic Celebration Lighting. Kirk, for people who aren't familiar, do you want to give us a quick intro to your businesses, what you do?
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for having me. My name is Kirk Brown. I'm like Matt said, I'm the owner of Kirk's Lawn Care and Dynamic Celebration Lighting. Kirk's Lawn Care is a lawn and landscaping company, primarily serving the residential market. And Dynamic Celebration Lighting is our lighting company, which does wedding and event lighting, permanent holiday lighting, and temporary holiday lighting, and primarily serves both residential and commercial markets. Started the landscaping company when I was 12 back in 2003, and then we started DCL back in 2021.
Did you ever go to school for anything, or from 12 on, you're like, this is it, this is what I'm going to do?
No, like formal trade school or I guess college that really kind of helped me with the landscaping and the lighting side of things. In high school, we have a horticulture program at O.N.G. Roberts High School, which I went to, and I took that all 4 years. That definitely, I already had my business long before then, but going through that horticulture program definitely helped solidify, my feelings of it wanting to be a career that I wanted to go and continue on with. I went to, I think, a semester or two of Montgomery County Community College. But that I was actually having to start skipping classes to do work. So I kind of had to make a decision on, if I wanted to continue the college route and just kind of slow my business down, or kind of just end college and ramp up the business. So yeah, that was kind of the decision I made. I guess looking back on it, I don't regret it, but it all worked out the way it should have. So,
yeah. Did you have like any family members who were in business or mentors who kind of showed you the ropes in that side of things?
No, I just my dad's a systems engineer. My mom works at a school district. All of our extended family really aren't entrepreneurs or business owners. So yeah, I was like the first in the family.
So at 12 years old, and you just started a business, like what did your business look like at age 12?
Well, I mean, I couldn't drive, so I mean, it was pretty limited in range to what my neighborhood was. But yeah, that was back in 2003. I remember like the first year I had, and I still actually have a couple copies. I have like business cards I made at like age 12. I had fridge magnets. I had like this like little parents tractor. I had like this card that rode behind the tractor, and it had like signs all over it said Kirk's Lawn Care. And I even had a website like at 2003, which is pretty early on in the internet age. So I mean, yeah, I had a website rolling at age 12 too. And I actually it's still on the interwebs. I actually usually show it to employees during employee orientation, like the old school website from back then. So yeah, it's definitely a reminder of where we were. It's like a time capsule from 21 years ago.
Yeah, what does the business look like now? Like how many employees? What kind of service are you guys offering?
Yeah, so again, our services haven't changed. Our core services haven't changed. We've added like extra services. We're getting more into the drainage correction work and hardscaping work in the last couple of years, but primarily our core services of mowing, aeration, overseeding, mulching, landscape design, install, those types of services have really kind of been pretty much the same since the beginning. We now have about 15, 16 employees. A couple of them are salaried positions, and then we have again, the rest of them would be field labor.
So what was some of the business development you went through from 12 to now? Like, what did you do to grow the business and turn it into a real company from what was really just a neighborhood type of company before?
Yeah, I mean, I would accredit myself. I don't have any formal training in marketing, but it's always been something I've gravitated towards. I've read a lot of books on it, even from a young age, as far as how to differentiate yourself among a crowded market. And landscapers, it's just such a saturated market. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, like I was, can go to Lowe's and get some equipment and call themselves a landscaper. So it definitely is a low cost to enter into the industry, as far as compared to other industries. The training, and the schooling is less than some other skilled trades. So again, you really have to differentiate yourself. And again, I started from the bottom and, try to figure it out as I went. But yeah, you definitely have to differentiate yourself in the landscaping market to help stand out.
Yeah, what have you done to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, quite a few years ago, I forget the exact year, we did a rebrand. So we got a new logo, and we kind of marketed ourselves as a tech savvy approach to land care. Me growing up, in 2003, starting a business and, being a 90s kid, I grew up with the rise of the internet and the rise of all the technology and cell phones and all that. I lived through all of that. So I've always been very gravitated towards kind of like technology. And I was wondering how that could be incorporated into a landscaping company, which is very non-technology related, and very, nature oriented. And usually those two things don't mesh all that well. But I saw early on, especially with the rise of e-commerce, there was people's buying and purchasing habits tended to change to wanting more of an instant service or instant, gratification, or in days of Amazon, you get your stuff in a day or two. And we wanted to try and incorporate technologies where we could be more easily accessible to our clients. They can easier for them to quote or to get quotes or request quotes at any hour of the day or night. And just be able to provide faster turnarounds for estimates and make it a lot less painless of a process and less scary for some. Because again, landscaping can be like a very scary thing to approach. So our kind of philosophy using technologies and softwares that are on the market was to try and make it a tech savvy way, an easy way, a quick way to be able to get landscaping services.
What's been your thought process behind staying in lawn care? I know there's a lot of guys that you got to switch to landscaping. That's how you make real money, these giant jobs.
Yeah.
You've stayed faithful to lawn care, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons. Again, the lawn mowing and the lawn care side, lawn mowing side of things, definitely is the least profitable service that we run. However, it is a service where you get to have the most touch points with a client. So again, if we're on their property every single week, we can keep an eye on their property, see if there's anything that they may need, or their landscape is, or there's shrubs or plants that are dying, or there's a tree that doesn't look healthy, or there's drainage issues. We're on that property every week, so we can kind of make suggestions and kind of help educate them on things that are happening in their property that a lot of homeowners may not even be aware of that are going on in their own property. So that helps us to be able to recommend them to other services that are more profitable.
So as you guys started growing, or as you started growing, I should say, and you started bringing other people in, what was that process like when you started having to build out the infrastructure to manage and have teams? At what stage were you at when you started to actually scale up?
Oh, I brought on my first employee in 2013. Again, started with one. I was somebody in the truck with
10 years of solo.
Yeah. It was. All through. I graduated in high school in 2010, so there really wasn't a whole lot of a bill. And then I went to again a semester and a half. Or no, it might have been 2 semesters of college. So yeah, probably 2012 was, probably the first full year that I even was done schooling. So yeah, kind of doing it full time before then was kind of out of the question. But 2013, hired first employee. Again, just rode in a truck with me, and then we pretty much added, one employee per year for a couple of years, and started them running their own crew. I was doing things, not having to be on the job, so it just is a natural progression of adding employees here, one after another until you get to the size that you're at now.
Did you have any specific? Did you read any books or get any strategies on how to go from you doing everything to managing teams and organizing all those different, I'm guessing a ton more projects once you get multiple people in there?
Yeah, early on I didn't. I just kind of did trial and error. You kind of have to live through the mistakes to know what not to do and how to correct it better. Now, with the scale that we're getting and bringing on salaried employees and managers, we definitely have much more of a much more of a plan and intentionality on why we do things than when I was younger. We have a leadership coach we work with, again, to kind of help make sure that we designate and delegate responsibilities, and we're all working together efficiently and building a culture within the company that is conducive to long-term growth for our employees and our team. So yeah, right now at the size we're getting and the growth that we're anticipating in the next couple of years, there definitely is much more of a plan and guidance to help us make sure we don't make some mistakes that could be avoidable.
So talking about making mistakes, what were some of those mistakes that you made when you're dealing with hiring new staff?
Yeah, there's probably a lot. I just chose to forget them.
I mean, did you learn any like principles that you apply now when you're looking for staff?
I'm much more selective when it comes to hiring people now. Even if it means that we're short-staffed or we're struggling as far as not having enough labor, I will be much more selective and deal with I would rather not have the people I need rather than having the wrong people. And I think that the wrong people, if you let the wrong people in and it's like a cancer that spreads within a company, it can really cause a lot of damage, far more than just being that one person short, you know what I mean? And just sucking up for a week or two until you can find the right person.
So how do you identify like the right people versus the wrong people?
So we've implemented a pretty rigorous interview process in the last year or two with phone interviews. It starts out with a phone interview, then it comes into an in-person interview, and then we require drug and background screens on top of that. So, I mean, typically, again, between the phone interview and the in-person interview, it's probably about an hour and a half maybe combined for the landscaping field, which is pretty intense for among landscapers. I've had employees that I've hired, they said they've never been at an interview before, and they've worked for landscaping companies for 10, 15, 20 years. They just always met at a Wawa parking lot, and they're like, get in the truck, you start Monday. It's like that's their interview. So it's like us doing formal interviews and background checks and drug screens is definitely it's definitely a much different way of doing things than a lot of our team members are used to.
So you said you had like the wrong person, like a cancer. Did you have an experience like that where it like affected your other employees' attitudes, or what did you mean?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, not like one person. I mean, there has been, but I mean, I feel like everybody can, if you own a business, you can always think of that one person. Oh, had I known, or there was signs on the wall and you didn't see them. I mean, again, sometimes you just, you see the good in people, and I'm always the type of person, I love to see the good in people, and I always love to give people, they have my full trust and it's theirs to lose. So usually that's just how I like to operate. And then there's times where, I give people too many chances. So, I mean, that a lot of it I blame on myself, which, is again why, we have a leadership coach. We're making those changes to make sure that I don't repeat those same mistakes and trying to see the good in people. And sometimes maybe they don't have my best intentions or my company's best intentions at their heart, but I think they do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's something as we've been hiring, we've really realized that attitude is way more important than skill set. Like you can train, but you cannot change the core of who somebody is and how they deal with work situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about DCL, Dynamic Celebration Lighting. Was landscape lighting something you always offered and then kind of just evolved into that? How did that come to be its own separate entity?
Yeah, so we haven't really up until recently like done landscape lighting like proper, like doing like the old Malibu lights along the walkway or any of like the floodlights. We never really got into that up until the last couple of years. So how I really got into the lighting was more on a personal hobby side. So I used to be one of those extreme Christmas decorators who would put up 20,000 lights at their house and synchronize it to music, and then have a radio station and cars come and tune in the radio station and see the lights dance to music. So I did that probably starting in 2008, maybe when I was like 10. I would spend probably hundreds of hours working on that a year, between the programming and the sequencing at the computer and then actually installing the lights and taking them down. So yeah, that's kind of where like, and my family's always just been big in like holiday decorating, whether it was Halloween or Christmas or Easter, there was always some sort of yard decoration going on for a holiday. So I kind of, that was where my passion for lighting really came from. And then as we were scaling the business and adding more employees, landscaping being a seasonal company, a lot of landscapers do snow. But snow is highly unpredictable when it comes to revenue and predictable work for employees. So back in 2021, I knew I had the passion for lighting. So I found a way that was, very seasonal for the off season of our landscaping season. So it was a way to have predictable income and revenue, as well as have our employees be able to have steady hours. So I started that, that side of the wing of the business, and it was a huge success from the beginning. The home holiday lighting industry has really taken off in the last couple of years. I mean, I was certainly, was behind the curve. I mean, I wish I would have started quite a few years earlier. I would have been ahead of a lot of people, but yeah, it's definitely grown a lot in the last few years.
So what all types of events and stuff do you guys do lighting for? I know it's more than just like Christmas lights at this point, right?
Yeah, so we do weddings and events. So again, we'll go to a venue. We'll set up the lighting for the day before the wedding or the day of the wedding, and then that night or the day after we would come and take the lights down. We work with a couple venues like Winterthur Museum and Gardens in Delaware, and a couple other venues that again use us relatively exclusively, and we work with the couples and help bring their biggest moment or biggest day of their lives to something that just looks like a magazine photo shoot with all the lighting at night. It just transforms the atmosphere of the event.
You guys do some like commercial spaces too, like storefronts and stuff like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we do permanent holiday lighting, which is looks like roof line lighting, but it's permanently affixed to the property on the roof line. It's low voltage, so it's safe as far as long-term use, and you can change it to any color you want through a phone app. You can change it for any color, any occasion, any holiday. And then also that roofline product also expands, our universal products also expand into landscape lighting, wall washes, bistro lights. So again, from one app, you can control literally every single lighting product within your yard, and have it all synced and change colors or do effects and a lot of cool things with that. So that's something that's been really big for the commercial industry, especially with a lot of restaurants like pizza shops, other commercial sectors that want to attract attention to their storefront or run promotional sales. Restaurants, it's a cool idea. I mean, you can color code the roof of your building to certain specials, that you run in your restaurant. So you can get really creative with it, and there's a lot of opportunity there.
It's awesome. We've been out and seen some of the locations, and the customizability is insane. You can do anything you want, literally.
Yeah.
So, but kind of a more broad level question for business development. What have you found to be the most important things to look at for a company as they're planning to go from that solopreneur to an actual scaled multi-employee business?
I would say have a plan. I mean, don't just hire people and assume that, the more employees you have, the more money you can make. That's a very false pretense of thinking the bigger you get, even the bigger I get, you think you may have more money or it may be less problems. And it really, it turns out it's not. At times you have more people to manage, you have more expenses. Sometimes your profit margins, depending upon where you are in your growth period, sometimes your profit margins have to get smaller before they can get bigger. So there's a lot of additional expenses with scaling up a company. So again, having obviously good accountants or financial advisors around you, and then also again, we've been working with a leadership coach, and I wish I would have done that, quite a few years earlier, just to help us make sure that all of us are performing at our best ability. We're serving our employees and helping them grow to the best of our ability. And I'm also respecting myself and my own time, because it's so easy just to do so much for others, and then you forget about yourself and you don't take care of yourself the way you should. So it's definitely somebody helps hold me accountable, even with just making sure that I take breaks and allocate enough time for me and my family as well. So,
So when you're working with this coach, what are some of the things that they're working with you on, or what's been most effective for you?
Yeah. So again, we're setting up, at both our companies, setting up a culture where we prioritize long-term growth of our employees through providing endless further education opportunities. We provide paid training for them. We provide training. We'll pay for certifications for them. And then if they do all that training, we'll even give them a pay raise on top of that. So again, providing a clear growth or a clear outline of how they can grow within the company. And just providing them opportunities to be able to advance. So we're setting up the infrastructure to be able to allow employees to really, if they want to better themselves, we provide them the tools and training to be able to do that.
What's the coach that you're working with?
So right now I'm working with Thane Isaacs. His company is Innovations Tomorrow. So he's out of Vermont, but we meet on Zoom each week. And again, he also meets with some of my team members as well. So our leadership coach also does one-on-one trainings with some of my key managers to help them as well. But yeah, again, he's been great to work with.
So yeah, you're now up to 2 businesses in 2 different sectors. You guys have any other plans for the future? A third branch lingering in the wings somewhere?
No. I mean, again, right now the 2 is enough. Again, we hired a sales manager for Dynamic Celebration Lighting. DCL is primarily a seasonal winter based company, but now we're expanding with the permanent lighting and the wedding event lighting. We're expanding that into a year-round business. So again, we're trying to bring both of our businesses into more of a year-round portfolio rather than them both used to being seasonal. So that's the big thing on our horizon is really building the growth for DCL to make it into more of a year-round business.
Excellent. And if someone wants to get in touch with you guys or learn more, where do they go?
Yeah, so again, you can visit our websites, kirkslawnCare.com or dynamiccelebrationlighting.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you can certainly reach out to me on there and message me, and I'll be sure to get back to you. I'm love talking to people. So again, just reach out and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Excellent. Yeah, and if you Google anything to do with anything close to what Kirk does, you'll find him. He did all his own SEO and super thorough job. I was very impressed when we were looking through that.
Yeah.
So Kirk, thanks for coming so much on. We're going to have future episodes where we go into some deeper topics on marketing strategies and the actual process of building a second company branched off of your first one. So thanks for coming on the show, Kirk.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Stories from the Top is your guide to successful business development. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or find Edge of Cinema on YouTube. Stories from the Top is an Edge of Cinema production, hosted by Matthew Skura and Jeremy Schmidt. To learn more or get in touch, visit edgeofcinema.com/podcast.